There's a fruit that's been quietly at the center of some of the most interesting muscle and aging research of the last few years. And it's not some rare superfood flown in from a remote corner of the world. It's pomegranate, something you've probably walked past in the grocery store 100 times without a second thought. Scientists have discovered that pomegranate contains the building blocks for a compound that, in real clinical trials, has been shown to improve muscle strength in older adults. But here's the part almost nobody tells you, and it's the part I actually want to focus on today, because it changes how you should think about this fruit. Stick with me, because understanding this distinction is what separates real, evidence-based health information from an oversimplified headline. Let's talk about why muscle strength matters so much as we get older. Starting in our 30s, most people begin losing muscle mass gradually, and that decline speeds up significantly with age. This isn't just about looking or feeling strong. Muscle strength is directly tied to your ability to get up from a chair without help, keep your balance, avoid falls, and maintain independence in daily life. One of the biological processes closely linked to this muscle decline involves your mitochondria, the tiny structures inside your cells responsible for producing energy. As we age, mitochondria become less efficient, and damaged mitochondria tend to accumulate rather than get properly cleared out and recycled, a process called mitophagy. Researchers studying aging have become increasingly interested in whether supporting this cellular cleanup process could help preserve muscle function later in life. This is where pomegranate enters the story. Pomegranates are rich in polyphenols called L-glutathione. On their own, L-glutathione aren't the active ingredient that affects your muscles directly. Instead, when they reach your gut, bacteria there convert them into a compound called urolithin A, and it's urolithin A that appears to activate that mitochondrial cleanup process I just mentioned. This is the compound behind the headlines you may have seen about pomegranate and muscle aging. So, what does the actual clinical research show? A study published in Cell Reports Medicine in 2022 gave middle-aged, sedentary adults either a placebo or one of 2 doses of purified urolithin A for 4 months. The results showed a meaningful improvement in muscle strength, around 12%, in the group receiving the higher dose, along with improvements in aerobic endurance and markers of mitochondrial health. A separate randomized clinical trial, published in JAMA Network Open, specifically studied older adults and looked at muscle endurance and mitochondrial health markers, finding encouraging improvements as well. Now here's the crucial detail I promised you, and it's genuinely important. Every one of these clinical trials used a purified, concentrated urolithin A supplement, not whole pomegranate fruit. The dosages studied, often 500 to 1,000 milligrams of urolithin A per day, are far more concentrated than what your body would ever produce, simply from eating pomegranate seeds or drinking pomegranate juice. And here's the part that really matters. Your ability to convert dietary L-glutathione into urolithin A depends entirely on the specific bacteria living in your gut. Research suggests that only around 40% of people have the right gut bacteria composition to efficiently produce meaningful amounts of urolithin A from food alone. The other 60% produce very little, regardless of how much pomegranate they eat. This is exactly why I want to be honest with you, rather than let a catchy headline oversell what eating the fruit itself can guarantee. Eating pomegranate is absolutely a reasonable, healthy choice, and it provides these L-glutathione compounds along with other antioxidants, vitamin C, and fiber, all of which support overall health in well-established ways. But claiming that eating pomegranate every day will reliably produce the same 12% strength improvement seen in these clinical trials would not be an accurate reflection of the science. The research supporting that specific level of benefit comes from a purified supplement dose. and whether eating the whole fruit gets you anywhere close to that effect depends heavily on your individual gut microbiome, something that varies a great deal from person to person, and isn't something you can easily test at home. So where does this leave you, practically? If you enjoy pomegranate, and many people do, there's good reason to keep including it in your diet. It's a genuinely nutritious fruit, rich in antioxidants called punicalagens, which have been studied for supporting cardiovascular health and reducing markers of inflammation in their own right, separate from the urolithin A muscle research. A typical serving is around 1/2 cup of pomegranate seeds, sometimes called arils, which you can eat on their own, sprinkled over yogurt or salads, or enjoyed as part of a balanced diet. If your primary goal is specifically the muscle and mitochondrial benefits shown in the clinical trials, it's worth knowing that some supplement companies now sell purified urolithin A products developed based on this research, and studies have used doses in the 500 to 1,000 milligram range. If you're considering a supplement like this, particularly if you're managing any chronic health condition or taking regular medications, it's important to talk to your doctor first, since supplement quality, purity, and appropriate dosing can vary significantly between products, and this remains a relatively newer area of supplement research compared to more established nutrients. Now let's talk about what genuinely, reliably builds and preserves muscle strength as you age, because this is where the strongest, most consistent evidence lies. Regular resistance exercise. Even light resistance bands, bodyweight movements, or gentle strength training remains the most well-established way to maintain muscle mass and strength at any age, including well into your 80s and 90s. Adequate dietary protein, spread across your meals rather than concentrated at one sitting, also plays a well-documented supporting role. Pomegranate and urolithin. A research represents a genuinely exciting and active area of aging science, but it's best understood as a potential complementary piece of the puzzle, not a replacement for the fundamentals that decades of research consistently point back to. Let's clear up a common misconception here too. Because these studies have gotten attention in health and wellness media, it's easy to walk away thinking, pomegranate is essentially a natural version of the supplement used in the trials. But whole foods and purified extracts studied in clinical research don't always behave the same way once they're back in the context of everyday eating, especially when a key biological conversion step, like turning L-arginines into urolithin A, depends on individual variation that most of us have no way of measuring. Real health information means giving you the full picture, not just the exciting part of the headline. If this helped you understand the science behind a trend you may have already heard about, share it with someone who'd appreciate the honest version. And if you want more clear, research-backed health content made specifically for adults over 60, go ahead and subscribe, because there's more useful information on the way.